total RV shipments in May were the biggest on record, up 11.8% year over year.
The RV market just exploded. They sold you freedom on four wheels and turned it into the biggest debt trap in America. For decades, the RV stood for escape. Now, it's an anchor. Buyers who thought they were investing in memories are watching value vanish overnight. Dealers can't move inventory. Banks won't lend, and the people who caused it, they're already gone with your money. When did adventure become unaffordable? Why are the companies that caused the crash being rewarded? And what happens when the average American can't even afford to dream? The American dream that crashed overnight. That RV trip you saved for, it just turned into a financial nightmare. For decades, the recreational vehicle stood as a symbol of freedom. Families scrimped, saved, and planned entire summers around the idea of hitting the open road. But now, that dream has soured almost overnight. The RV market, once valued at $38.36 billion, is collapsing in real time. Prices are falling faster than buyers can process, leaving loyal owners stunned and new shoppers frozen. Families who thought they were investing in memories now realize they are sitting on depreciating assets worth thousands less than they paid. Ordinary people are not to blame. They played by the rules, but the system shifted beneath their feet. Lenders raised rates, manufacturers flooded the market, and Wall Street cheered while middle America footed the bill. The crash is not a reflection of laziness or poor choices. It is proof that regular families are paying the price for corporate greed and economic mismanagement. But the collapse of value is only the start. What comes next is even more devastating. A showroom floor that no one can afford to walk across. Showrooms full, wallets empty. Dealers aren't running out of RVs. They're running out of people who can say yes. Across the country, RV lots look like parking fields, stuffed with shiny models lined up under the sun. Yet behind the gleam is quiet desperation. Salespeople who used to move rigs every weekend now watch them sit untouched for months. Families wander through the aisles, fall in love with a model, then walk away after seeing the payment schedule. The affordability crisis has priced out even middle-class households who once kept this industry alive. The pain is not limited to would-be buyers. Dealers are staring at mountains of inventory they cannot move. Every rig that sits comes with carrying costs and financial strain. Many are cutting staff, delaying bills, and pleading with lenders for more time. What should be a season of road trips has become a season of heartbreak, where ordinary people want the lifestyle but cannot survive the math attached to it. Yet the saddest part is this: dealers and buyers both know the game was rigged from the start. And the people who rigged it, they cashed in long before the rest of us felt the pain. If you're already seeing how deep this collapse runs, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. How's the market hitting you? Dealers, owners, workers? I want to hear your story. The execs knew and cashed in anyway. While you were struggling, manufacturers bragged to Wall Street. Behind closed doors, executives saw the storm forming. They knew demand was cooling and that families were stretched thin. Still, they kept churning out RVs as if the boom would last forever. Why? Because the more they built, the better their balance sheets looked, at least on paper. Wall Street loved the volume, and executives loved the bonuses tied to it. Ordinary workers built rigs they believed would be sold quickly, while higher-ups quietly dumped shares and celebrated record revenues. The cruel irony is that the companies created the very glut that is now destroying their own dealers. By overproducing, they left small-town showrooms buried under inventory and families trapped with overpriced loans on depreciating vehicles. Workers are being laid off, yet the leaders who caused the mess walk away richer than ever. This was not a surprise. It was a setup. And while corporate offices counted profits, another gatekeeper prepared to close the door entirely. That gatekeeper was the bank when the bank says no. It's not that you don't want the RV, it's that the lenders slammed the door. Financing has always been the bridge between dreams and reality in the RV world. Very few families walk in with cash for a motorhome or trailer. But that bridge is collapsing. Approval rates have fallen sharply, and those who do qualify face punishing interest charges. What used to be a manageable monthly payment has ballooned into something that looks more like a second mortgage. For working families already stretched by groceries, gas, and rent, the math is impossible. Banks know it too. They see the falling values and refuse to take the risk. Dealers watch potential customers walk out crushed, while buyers wonder why their hard-earned credit score no longer matters. Families who thought they had secured a future of freedom on the road now face rejection at every turn. But the rejection is not the end of the story. It is only the fuse that ignites the larger explosion, collapsing values that ripple through every corner of the economy. The sticker price lie. The price on the window isn't real. The auction tells the truth. Families walk onto lots and see the glossy sticker, thinking it represents reality. But behind the scenes, the truth is brutal. Wholesale auctions reveal that rigs are worth thousands less than what dealers are asking. A unit displayed at $100,000 might only pull $70,000 at auction, leaving buyers who pay retail instantly underwater. The gap between the asking price and the actual market value is a trap. Customers who sign the papers inherit debt that can never be recouped, and they often do not even realize it until they try to trade or sell. Dealers cling to inflated numbers because acknowledging the collapse means admitting their lots are filled with liabilities. Retail buyers become collateral damage in a system that refuses to adjust quickly. The sticker says one thing, the market says another, and the family in the middle pays the difference. And if that sounds bad, wait until you hear what happens to the dealers who are forced to carry these unsold rigs month after month. Dealers drowning in debt. Every day a rig sits, dealers bleed, and you're paying for it. Every RV on a lot is financed through something called floor plan interest. It means dealers borrow to stock inventory, and every single day that a unit sits idle, the dealer pays. For a $100,000 rig, that daily interest can be staggering. Multiply it across dozens of units, and you can see how quickly it drains the lifeblood of a business. Dealers who once celebrated weekend sales now wake up to invoices that look more like hospital bills. The fallout is vicious. Staff are being cut, advertising is slashed, and some dealers quietly prepare bankruptcy paperwork. The human side is even worse. Longtime employees lose jobs, family-run stores shutter, and small towns lose anchors of community life. And yet, while these local businesses suffocate, investors on Wall Street pretend the numbers still look strong. Because while dealers collapse on Main Street, corporate leaders spin a different story for the markets. Wall Street cheers while you lose. Investors clapped when companies beat earnings, but Main Street paid the price. Quarterly calls are filled with polished language. Executives talk about efficiency and resilience, and analysts nod along. Stock prices tick upward, and investors cheer a supposed recovery. But behind those numbers is a sleight of hand. Companies count inventory shipped to dealers as sales. Even when those rigs sit unsold for months, shareholders see green arrows, but workers see pink slips, and families see repossessions. It is a disconnect that cuts deep. Wall Street celebrates paper victories, while small dealers go broke and customers shoulder impossible loans. The very people who built the RV dream are excluded from the so-called recovery. When the stock climbs, executives cash out. When the market sinks, ordinary people eat the loss. It is a cruel imbalance, one that proves the system rewards the top while punishing everyone else. And if corporate tricks anger you, the real heartbreak comes from the everyday costs that turn even a modest weekend trip into a financial burden. The weekend that got too expensive. What used to be freedom now feels like a second mortgage. The true cost of RV ownership goes far beyond the loan. Gas prices climb, insurance premiums spike, and campsite fees creep higher each season. What once felt like affordable adventure now looks like a luxury reserved for the wealthy. Families who planned cross-country trips are downsizing to weekend drives or canceling altogether. For many in Middle America, filling the tank is enough to break the budget before they even reach the campground. The disappointment is heavy. Parents explain to children why the vacation is shorter, why the RV stays parked, why dreams must wait. Insurance alone can eat into monthly income, and rising maintenance costs add insult to injury. The RV lifestyle promised freedom. Now it delivers bills that feel like shackles. When fun becomes a financial strain, the dream is abandoned, and as more families walk away, the collapse spreads further, pulling jobs, towns, and entire communities into the storm that follows. Jobs lost, towns shaken. When a shift disappears, the whole town feels it the next morning. RV plants have long been the beating heart of many small communities. One factory can employ hundreds, and each paycheck ripples outward to diners, hardware stores, and schools. When production lines slow or shifts vanish, the impact is immediate. Workers who once clocked overtime suddenly find themselves standing in unemployment lines. Suppliers that make cushions, windows, and electronics face order cancellations overnight, leaving warehouses dark and silent. The shockwaves hit local businesses too. Cafes that thrived on morning crowds of plant workers see empty booths. Auto shops lose customers who no longer maintain their trucks. Entire towns start to hollow out as families move away in search of stability. For decades, the RV industry was a reliable backbone. Now that backbone is breaking, and the communities built on it are breaking too. And while workers and towns suffer in silence, Politicians use the collapse as a stage for finger-pointing instead of solutions. Politicians point fingers, families pay, they argue in state houses. You pay at the bank. As the RV crisis deepens, lawmakers rush to assign blame. Some push for subsidies to save manufacturers, while others rail against wasteful spending. Hearings fill with speeches about protecting jobs, but when the cameras shut off, little changes for the people actually losing them. Families do not care about partisan soundbites. They care about the next mortgage payment and whether their kids can stay in school. Behind the scenes, lobbyists press for tax breaks and credit protections for dealers, yet few proposals actually help the buyers drowning in loans. Legislators fight over ideology while repossessions mount. At the end of the day, politicians protect their talking points more than their constituents. The divide between rhetoric and reality has never been wider, and as the political theater drags on, workers themselves decide they cannot wait for rescue. They organize, protest, and make their voices impossible to ignore. Workers push back. When companies slash hours, workers don't just take it, they fight. The factory floor tells a different story than the executive boardroom. As hours are cut and layoffs announced, workers rise together. Union halls fill with frustrated voices demanding fair treatment. Protests spill onto sidewalks, with picket signs declaring that livelihoods are not disposable. For many, this is about more than paychecks. It is about dignity, pride, and the right to a stable life. Strikes begin to simmer as negotiations stall. Families bring children to demonstrations, showing that an entire generation's future is at stake. Workers demand protections against arbitrary cuts and insist that companies share responsibility for the mess they created. Their defiance is a reminder that while corporate leaders can shuffle numbers, human beings cannot simply be erased from balance sheets. But even as workers fight back, the market continues to decide winners and losers among the companies themselves, and the cracks are already visible. Who survives? Who sinks? Not every brand makes it, and you can already see the cracks. The RV market is splitting into two camps. Some manufacturers pivot quickly, trimming production, shifting to smaller and more affordable rigs, and focusing on quality over volume. Others remain stuck, clinging to oversized models and outdated strategies. The difference shows in sales. Lighter, cheaper models still move, while bulky luxury rigs sit unsold. Investors are watching closely, betting on the brands that adapt and abandoning those that refuse to change. For families and dealers, the outcome is clear. Survival belongs to the companies that actually listen to customers. The rest are on borrowed time. Bankruptcy whispers grow louder, and the once mighty names of the industry may soon be memories. And just as brands battle to stay alive, the future of the entire RV lifestyle hangs in the balance, with new models of ownership and use waiting just around the corner. We're just scratching the surface of what's coming next. Subscribe now, because the next chapters will reveal the moves shaping your future. Don't miss it. Your preparation starts here, and every video brings you closer to staying ahead. Why ownership isn't the only way. If you can't buy it, you can still live the dream, but differently. The collapse of ownership does not mean the end of adventure. A growing number of families are turning to rentals, peer-to-peer sharing, and subscription services. Renting an RV for a week allows people to enjoy the road without the crushing weight of a 30-year loan. Platforms that connect owners with travelers are thriving, giving everyday people a chance to earn income from rigs that might otherwise sit idle. Subscriptions, where customers rotate through models for a fixed monthly fee, appeal to younger generations who value flexibility over permanence. This shift flips the power dynamic. Instead of being trapped in negative equity, consumers take control of when and how they participate. For many, it feels liberating to step away from ownership and still enjoy the lifestyle. The industry may shrink, but the dream of travel remains alive in new forms. And as the ownership model changes, so too does the dealer landscape. The lot of tomorrow will look nothing like the sprawling fields of today. The dealer of tomorrow. Forget giant lots. The new dealer looks nothing like the old one. The days of walking onto a vast expanse filled with hundreds of rigs are fading. Dealers of the future are pivoting to order-to-build models, where customers select features, place a deposit, and wait for delivery. Smaller showrooms replace massive lots, with a few display models and digital kiosks showing customizable options. It is a leaner, smarter system designed to cut carrying costs and avoid the nightmare of unsold inventory. Survival depends not on volume, but on service. Dealers are reinventing themselves as trusted advisors and maintenance hubs rather than simple sales outlets. The focus is shifting to building long-term relationships with customers who may rent, subscribe, or buy smaller rigs. Those who adapt to this new role will endure. Those who cling to the past will vanish. And as the business model changes, so do the products themselves. The rigs that make it through will look very different from the oversized giants that once dominated. Lighter, cheaper, smarter rigs. The rigs that survive will weigh less on the road and on your wallet. Excess is dying. Families no longer want behemoths that guzzle fuel and bleed bank accounts. They want towables that a mid-size SUV can handle, modular layouts that adapt to changing needs, and efficient systems that reduce maintenance costs. Manufacturers that embrace lightweight materials and smarter design are seeing early success. Smaller rigs mean lower fuel bills, easier storage, and wider accessibility for households that cannot justify the price of luxury. Technology is also playing a role. Energy-efficient appliances, solar hookups, and modular add-ons allow customization without bloated costs. The shift is not about status, but practicality, offering families the chance to enjoy freedom without going broke. The future of the RV is compact, clever, and cost-conscious. And yet, even with smarter designs and better business models, one reality remains. The entire dream hinges on a single calculation: the monthly payment. The only number that matters now. If the monthly payment works, the dream lives. If it doesn't, it dies. At the end of the day, all the talk about innovation, design, and business pivots collapses into one truth. Families measure possibility by what leaves their bank account each month. The triad of interest rates, insurance premiums, and depreciation dictates survival. If the payment aligns with income, the dream can continue. If it does not, no amount of marketing can save the sale. This is the new reality for both customers and companies. Dealers, lenders, and manufacturers can no longer ignore affordability. They can build lighter rigs, create new sales models, or shift to rentals. But unless that monthly line makes sense, the keys will never change hands. The RV dream is not dead, but it is hanging by the thread of a calculator. And with rates shifting fast, the next chapter of this story is already forming. The best and worst times to buy are coming soon, and the timing could decide everything. The RV dream isn't dead, but it's being rewritten right in front of us. Families, workers, and entire towns are caught in the storm, and the choices made now decide who survives. Stay connected, stay informed, and don't face this collapse alone. Subscribe today, because the story isn't ending here.